or what I did was so horrible, so horrible. Can never. I did that 20 years ago. I did that. What's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. What am I going to say if he says that? What am I going to say then? What time is it? 3 a.m.
Hey, what's up guys? Just making a side video here. I just completed the chapter 1 review of this book, and while reading through some of it, it gave me another idea where I kind of got interested in. It was talking about feedback loops and how compulsive thinking can cause them. And I was just thinking that I know we have positive feedback loops where if you have dopamine, it could kind of feedback into this is a great thing to have, and then you want to do it more and more, and that's how you build habits too. But I was also thinking about negative feedback loops and how it's important to be aware of them so you can avoid them. So we've had these ideas and these experiments where if you give a dog some food and ring a bell, eventually he starts associating the two together, and every time you ring a bell, regardless if he smells food or not, he starts to salivate because he associates that with the food. And when you don't have language, of course, I think it's more easy to look for more signals like that. But even with language, as humans, I think there's still something big to think about in negative feedback loops. And I've always had this idea that, I mean, of course, there's like sometimes opposites to each other. So I've always thought maybe like there was this yin and yang to dopamine. Maybe there's a negative dopamine where if something happens, you still want to stay around that for some reason. Maybe it's just this curiosity, or just from experience, you know that even though it's terrible for you, you've been around it, so you know you can get through it. This might be a reason why people stay in like maybe brutal or toxic relationships, or just unhealthy eating habits, unhealthy habits in general, where even though they know it's bad for them, they've already gotten used to it. And I think a lot of it has to do with instant gratification in those terms, but also it just got me thinking if there's some kind of negative feedback loop going on with that. Like,
Okay, on one level, there is an addiction to that. There is something in you that does not want to let go of that type of thinking.
a negative dopamine receptor. I don't know if that's actually a thing, and maybe I'm just stupid and just haven't thought about it or looked it up or heard about it. But it was just really interesting that I guess my main point here is to just be aware of negative feedback loops that you might have within your own life. A lot of times it's hard to see objectively from your own standpoint because you're in your own standpoint, you're so used to it. But you notice how it's so easy where you observe someone else's, and not in a judgmental way, but if you're just trying to help them or look how to improve them, a lot of times if you see a friend or you observe someone else's lifestyle, you can start to pick things out pretty easily because they're different from yours. So I guess to be aware and be mindful of your own habits to kind of improve yourself in places you might not have thought of before, just very important, something cool to think about. But yeah, something I'm going to be looking into a little bit more. This book kind of inspired that thought where it talked about how some compulsive thinking can lead to more feedback loops. The example he gave in here was there was a feedback loop where they had a negative emotion and they already had this preconceived idea of that negative emotion, and they associated with themselves that thought. So they felt that they were angry, they were feeling anger, and it just fed back onto that loop, and they were pretty much just feeding off of each other, getting stronger and stronger, causing more anxiety, causing more fear, and a lot of terrible things that would just not lead to any progress in the goal or direction that they wanted to go in. And it's amazing to have a positive feedback loop where you can kind of control those kind of things, but I think it's also important to kind of realize where those negative loops might be coming from and try to avoid them or conquer them, or at least be observant of them and see how to fix things. That way you can have more energy to build more positive feedback loops. But yeah, just something small I wanted to add in here. Just reading these books always inspires more thoughts for me, so I didn't want to just read the book and then, because here I wanted to stay on topic when I was doing the review, so I also wanted to kind of share my thoughts on things that these readings might have inspired, but on a separate video, of course. So just a small thought. If you have any thoughts on that, it's gonna be a quick video. Just drop it in the comments, and I'd love to hear back on what you guys think about it. Maybe you've thought about it before, or maybe it's new to you and you just have something to say that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I've always liked to hear different people's opinions, so just drop it down below. It's gonna be pretty quick, but yeah, so we're working on this Power of Now book. I'm on chapter 1. I know it doesn't sound like much, but we just got started, so it's going to be probably in a playlist. So if you're looking or interested in Eckhart Tolle or The Power of Now, the book by him, so you can find it on my channel. I'm going to be going through all the chapters, and I'm really loving this book. Chapter 1 was incredible. The introduction was incredible. Gave a lot of context to the rest of the book, and he's just an awesome human being, just full of positivity and trying to help people. So that's one big reason I wanted to jump on this one first before any of the rest of them. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm gonna call it quits here. Till next time, peace.